fourth graders, so we are going to continue with reading our book, Number the Stars. This is chapter 8. There has been a death. So that is a mystery. There has been a death. We don't know who. I had asked you before in the last chapter to make a prediction with, are there going to be German soldiers coming to this area? I mean, it seems like in chapter 7, just the whole German soldiers taken over was not existent where Uncle Henrik lived. But we know that can't be the end of the story since we are only on chapter 8. So now there's been a death. We don't know who, but we will find out. But you can make your prediction right now and then have some evidence to back it up. Who do you think is going to die in this chapter? I don't know. Chapter 8, There's Been a Death. Through a haze of dreams, Anne-Marie heard Henrik rise and leave the house, headed for the barn with his milking pail. At daybreak. Later, when she woke again, it was morning. She could hear birds calling outside, one of them close by the window in the apple tree, and she could hear Mamma below in the kitchen talking to Kirsty. Ellen was still asleep. The night before, so shortened by the soldiers in Copenhagen apartment, seemed long ago. Anne-Marie rose quietly so that she wouldn't wake her friend. That's more evidence that Anne-Marie is very caring. She pulled on her clothes and went down down the narrow curved staircase to find her sister kneeling on the kitchen floor, trying to make the gray kitten drink water from a bowl. "Silly," she said. "Kids like milk, not water." "I am teaching this one new habits," Kirsty explained importantly, "and I have named him Thor, for the god of thunder." Anne-Marie burst out laughing. She looked at the tiny kitten who was shaking his head, irritated at his wet whiskers as Kirsty kept trying to dip his face to the water. "God of thunder," Anne-Marie said. "He looks as if he would run and hide if there was a thunderstorm." "He has a mother someplace who would comfort him, I imagine," Mamma said. "And when he wants milk, he'll find his mamma." "Or he could just go visit the cow," Kirsty said. Although Uncle Henrik no longer raised crops on the farm as his parents had, he still kept a cow who munched happily on the meadow grass and gave a little milk each day in return. Now and then, he was able to send cheese into Copenhagen to his sister's family. This morning, Anne-Marie noticed with delight Mamma had made oatmeal and there was a pitcher of cream on the table. It was a very long time since she had tasted cream. And at home, they had bread and tea every morning. So you can just tell just from this place is a little bit special. Mamma followed Anne-Marie's eyes to the pitcher. "Fresh from Blossom," she said. "Henry milks her every morning before he leaves for the boat. So we know Blossom is the name of their cow." "And," she added, "there's butter too. Usually, not even Henrik has butter, but he managed to save a little this time." "Save a little from what?" Anne-Marie asked, spooning oatmeal into a floured bowl. "Don't tell me the soldiers tried to, what's the word? Relocate butter too?" She laughed at her own joke. But it wasn't a joke at all. Though Mamma laughed ruefully, "They do," she said. "They relocate all the farmers' butter right into the stomach of their army. I suppose that if they knew Henrik had kept this tiny bit, they would come with guns and march it away down the path." Kirsty joined their laughter as the three of them pictured a mound of frightened butter under military arrest. The kitten darted away when Kirsty's attention was distracted and settled on the windowsill. Suddenly, here in this sunlit kitchen, with cream in a pitcher and a bird in the apple tree beside the door, and out of the cattegat, where Uncle Henrik, surrounded by blue, by bright blue sky and water, pulled in his nets filled with shiny silver fish. Suddenly, the specter of guns and grim faced soldiers seemed nothing more than a ghost story, a joke with which to frighten children in the dark. Um, so when I looked up this place, Kattegat, I thought it was a place, but really it's the body of water. So she's talking about where Uncle Henrik fishes. So I know there's the Baltic Sea, but when it comes in here between Denmark and Sweden, they named it Kattegat. So, and that other part is Sakarak. So it's just a name of another body of water that kind of like flows right into the Baltic Sea. So basically, what Anne Marie is saying is that in that place, they seem so far removed from the reality of Denmark and German soldiers invading it. Ellen appeared in the kitchen doorway, smiling sleepily, and Mama put another floured bowl of steaming oatmeal on the old wooden table. So I don't know why they had to describe floured bowl, but it got me thinking like flour, um it makes this chapter seem not so like I know we're all expecting like who died, but with this description of the water, the silver fish and the butter and the cream, I feel like it's like this happy place. So I think it wants us to be happy for now because maybe sadness is coming. Cream, Anne Marie said, gesturing to the pitcher with a grin. And when you see this big space, it means like change of scenery. All day long, the girls played out of doors, under the brilliant, clear sky and sun. So again, happy. Anne Marie took Ellen to the small pasture beyond the barn and introduced her to Blossom, who gave a lazy, rough textured lick to the palm of Ellen's hand as she extended it timidly. The kitten scampered about and chased flying insects across the meadow. The girls picked armfuls of wildflowers, dried brown now by the early fall chill, and arranged them in pots and pitchers until the tabletops were crowded with their bouquets. Inside the house, Mamma scrubbed and dusted, tasking at Uncle Henrik's untidy housekeeping. She took the rugs out to the clothesline and beat them with a stick, scattering dust into the air. He needs a wife, she said, shaking her head and tacked the old wooden floors with the broom while the rugs aired. Just look at this, she said, opening the door to the little used formal living room with its old fashioned furniture. He never dusts. And she picked up her cleaning rags. And Kirsty, she added, the god of thunder made a very small rain shower in the corner of the kitchen floor. Keep an eye on him. So, what is she talking about? Rain shower. Late in the afternoon, Uncle Henrik came home. He grinned when he saw the newly cleaned and polished house, the double doors to the living room wide open, the rugs aired and the windows washed. Henrik, you need a wife, Mama scolded him. Uncle Henry laughed and joined Mama on the steps near the kitchen floor. Why do I need a wife when I have a sister? He asked in his booming voice. Mama sighed, but her eyes were twinkling. And you need to stay home more often to take care of the house. This step is broken, and there is a leaky faucet in the kitchen. And before we move on, that's the second time the broken step is mentioned. Henrik was grinning at her, shaking his head in mock dismay, and there are mice in the attic, and my brown sweater has a big moth hole in the sleeve, and if I don't wash the windows soon, they laughed together. Anyway, Mama said I have opened every window, Henrik, to let the air in and the sunlight. Thank goodness it is such a beautiful day. Tomorrow will be a to- tomorrow will be a day for fishing, Henrik said, his smile disappearing. There we go. Talking in code again. Ding, ding, ding. Anne Marie recognized the odd phrase. Papa had said something like get on the telephone. Is the weather good for fishing, Henrik? Papa had asked, but what did he mean? Henrik went fishing every day, rain or shine. Denmark's fishermen didn't wait for sunny days to take their boats out and throw their nets into the sea. Anne Marie, silent, sitting with Ellen under the apple tree, watched her uncle. Mamma looked at him. The weather is right? She asked. Henrik nodded and looked at the sky. He smelled the air. I will be going back to the boat tonight after supper. We will leave very early in the morning. I will stay on the boat all night. Anne Marie wondered what it would be like on the boat all night to lie at anchor, hearing the ship, hearing the sea slap against the sides, to see the stars from your place on the sea. You have prepared the living room? Uncle Henrik asked suddenly. Mamma nodded. It's cleaned, and I moved the furniture a bit to make room. And I saw the flower, and you saw the flowers, she added. I hadn't thought of it, but the girls picked dried flowers from the meadow. Prepared the living room for what? Anne Marie asked. Why did you move the furniture? Mamma looked at Uncle Henrik. He had reached down for the kitten scampering past and now held it against his chest and scratched its chin silently. It arched its small back with pleasure. Well, girls, he said, it is a sad event, but not too sad, really, because she was very, very old. There has been a death, and tonight your great Aunt Bert will be resting in the living room in her casket before she is buried tomorrow. It is the old custom, you know, for the dead to rest at home and their loved ones to be with them before burial. Kirsty was listening with a fascinated look. Right here? She asked. A dead person? Right here? Anne Marie said nothing. She was confused. This was the first she had heard of a death in the family. No one had called Copenhagen to say that there had been a death. No one had seemed sad. She's smart. And most puzzling of all, she had never heard the name before. Great Aunt Bert? Surely she would have known if she had a relative by that name. Kirsty might not. Kirsty was little and didn't pay attention to such things. But Anne Marie did. She had always been fascinated by her mother's stories of her own childhood. She remembered the names of all the cousins, the great aunts and uncles, and who had been the uncles who had been a tease, who had been a grouch, who had been such a scold that her husband had finally moved away to a different house. Thought they continued to have dinner, though they did continue to have dinner tonight. Ugh. Though they continued to have dinner together every night. Such wonderful, interesting stories filled with the colorful personalities of her mother's family. And Anne Marie was quite certain, though. She said nothing. There was no great Aunt Bertie. She didn't exist. Oh, so the death is great Aunt Bertie. Who was she? If Anne Marie is so certain that she's not a relative, what is going on? I want you to be thinking about that and then get ready for your quiz. Alrighty. See ya.